All right. We've opened the meeting. I now allow for any public comments to be made, limited to 3 minutes, comments to the board. To the Board of Commissioners. Any here present, any online that would like to make any public comments? Hearing none, I'll continue on with the agenda. So on the agenda items, Jenny, administrative. You all had an opportunity to review the minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. Any comments, concerns?
I thought the minutes were fine.
Okay. Could we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the minutes from September 14th, 2022. I have a second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yes.
So Johnny, will you sign them and pass them back down? Thank you.
Okay, we have the budget reports.
Okay, so on the income side. Don't think there was anything very exciting or spectacular, just normal. We did get a little bit of tax revenue for October, a little bit. Most of it comes in November and December. On the income side,
No.
expense side, you'll notice the ginormous bill at the under broadband, which is the fiber.
Mhm.
I have pictures I'm going to show you today. The first 4 reels arrived today. Very exciting. So that's the first payment. I have submitted a request for reimbursement from the state for the first 135 plus some thousand that we've spent on design. Still waiting for that. So this check, we've got funds in temporary investment to cover it. But I'll probably hold it until I get the rest of the fiber till it's here. The rest is supposed to arrive Friday. And then this is just the first payment. There'll be another payment for fiber, and then just hold it and send it out and then request reimbursement. I will also now use that invoice to request the 90,000 match from the county. I wanted to make it simple for them, not give them a bunch of little invoices.
Mhm.
So I can just give them this invoice and that'll cover their match 100%. So that's what I plan to do. We did a little bit of, we've had our handyman has been going around and doing some gutter cleanup, cleaning the gutters out before the rain starts this winter in the buildings in the industrial park, and also doing some weed cleanup. I just don't think there was anything else very weird.
I had a question on the broadband,
Mhm.
the fiber. A while back, we had discussed because of the inflation, because of supply and demand, it had gone up
Mhm.
in a certain amount, and we moved that budget to be able to absorb the extra costs. Did we find out, or do we meet that? It was at 350,000. We said not to exceed.
Yeah, and it was less than that. Yeah,
So-
it was about 300.
Okay,
Yeah, and we have contingency funds budgeted,
Yeah.
500,000 in contingency. So the fiber being expensive uses part of that. So now the big question is gonna be what the bid comes back for
Mhm.
construction.
And do we remember what that anticipated, what the percentage of rise was compared to what we originally looked at? It was it 25% over what we thought, or 15%?
You know, at the time I knew, but I don't know that I can remember. It was a lot. It was like 100% more. And it was
Okay,
like double.
okay,
Yeah. No, it was way.
from when it went out originally.
Yes, well, when we first budgeted for the project.
And then from the time we actually made the order.
Yeah, when we budgeted for the project, it was based on actual dollars that Pomeroy had on their fiber. It was based on actual costs,
Okay,
and it's doubled.
thank you.
Have the budget, and have you all looked at the vouchers? Any questions on those?
Pretty straightforward, from what I can see.
All right, I will hand this down for your signature then. Yeah, that's okay. Hard. Thank you.
All right, now review the draft 2023 budget.
Yes, and you can tell me how you would like to do this. I can either go line by line and explain my thinking, or you can ask me questions, whichever you prefer.
So I think we should go through line by line and have
Okay.
questions as we go.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so let's start at the top of the income side. The most of the money that has been in our temporary investment has been broadband matching funds, which has turned out to be pretty sweet. Chris, this year, we haven't made interest in years, and plus the changes in interest rates.
Right.
So I'm anticipating, and of course, you've gotta know this is rough. That there will be about 300,000 left in broadband match that we need to, that's restricted. That we need to put in that temporary, keep in that temporary investment and not consider it for any other spending except broadband. And then you'll notice that I did increase the beginning reserve to 150,000. We have enough money to do that. We talked about wanting to increase the reserve. So I went ahead and did the 50,000. Of course, we can back that off if somebody wants to, but that's where I started it. And then I think our beginning cash balance besides the reserve would be about 100,000. And so, you know, we always need a little bit of money to operate with. Come on in. That's Gracie. She should be our tenant. Okay, and then so then under tax revenue, I did back off the revenue just a little bit. I have, in all of my years here, I've never budgeted more in taxes than we receive, and this year they are saying we're gonna receive 463,000 instead of 470. So that was a little shocking to me. So I went ahead and backed them down. It'd probably be more than that, but I backed them off some. I did include the 1% levy increase, and that is, of course, I'm sorry, I need to turn my sound off. I apologize. That is, of course, up to you, but these are the reasons why I propose leaving it in and have always in my 15 years here proposed keeping it in. Number one is that the money that the port uses is invested back into the community in businesses. And they, in businesses or properties or whatever we do, and that has a multiplier effect. Those businesses then pay rent, they pay leasehold tax, they pay B&O tax, they pay personal property tax, they employ people, they spend money in our downtown. It is an investment, not just let's buy a fancier computer. You know, that's not what it's about. And the Columbia County voted to have a port, and for a port our size, I mean, compared to Garfield County, they don't have a business park like this with this many tenants. I mean, our port over the last 50 years has done a really good job of using that money and investing it. And then number two would be inflation. You know, it's just been a tough year. You see what I had to budget for insurance, our insurance increase. And then number three would be if you don't take it and you bank it, and then you decide to take it later, then it's a larger increase at a later time instead of a gradual increase over time. And this, it equates to barely over $1 per person, and that's really not the way taxes work. You know, PSC, PGE, and Pacific Core pay 3/4 of the taxes in our county, so they're the ones that bear the burden of covering that. But it really is it's a small investment by the community for what I think most of us can agree is a pretty good return. So those are my arguments. Okay, and then leasehold tax is just passed through. Lions Frame Marina had an automatic rent increase built into their lease because longer leases, we do that when they're longer. So theirs went up. The rest of them, you can see, I've just budgeted what is expected out of that business in that building. Building number 5 has 2 tenants, so I listed those separately. building number 6 is transportation. So the east end, they pay, that was a newer building, so they pay a lot more per square foot. And then the west end is CHS. Artisan Food Center, I have a lease for you. It's gonna be full again. We got a new company coming in for where the honey guy was moving out, so it's gonna remain the same. I actually budgeted a little more than I did last year because the commercial kitchen use has been a lot higher than I had budgeted, so I went ahead and raised it a little bit. Left the railroad the same, their lease is the same. Building number 2, which may have a change coming. Cameron Street Co-working, oh, I forgot to put in what the Southeast Washington, you know what, that's not an accurate number. I forgot to ask add what that new tenant's paying. So I need to increase, that's gonna be higher than the 7860.
Okay.
That'll be a little bit higher, sorry about that. I should have highlighted it, so I didn't forget. Fiber leases, okay, so this is where we have to guess. So the budget that we built for this project is $20 per customer per month. And there are 1,287 premises that we believe will be serving. It actually might be a little bit more. We've been visiting apartment buildings and there's a lot of apartments out there. So
Dinner in 5 minutes.
approximately a 30% adoption rate. Does that say mute? Yeah, okay. If you do approximately a 30% adoption rate, which, what did I write here? Yeah. So that would have been 400. I must have been done. What did I do? Yeah. 400 times. Anyway, whatever it was, and then that's 6 months. What did I do here? Yeah. That's what I did, 30% and then $20 per customer for 6 months. Because the project is supposed to be completed sometime between February and June. So it could be that we would get in revenue before June, but I thought it was better to just budget for half the year. And I think 30% is a very conservative, because based on the reaction we're getting out there in the public, I think it's gonna be higher than that, so I thought it was conservative. And you'll see we have expenses on the other end when we get there. Okay, miscellaneous, this is just a number we put in just in case we get miscellaneous revenue and uncategorized. And we put an equal amount on expenses, so it's budget neutral. Interest income, I just budgeted 1,000, thinking we'll get some. Utilities, which are passed through at the Artisan Food Center and building number 2. And it looks like it might be a little under budget, but I prefer to budget lower revenue and be pleasantly surprised than budget too high. So that shows you those revenues, and then miscellaneous grants and loans. We put a budget neutral 100,000 for special projects, and then also 100,000 under expenses. That's in case we get grants, so we don't have to do a budget amendment. About 90,000 to finish the trail design, 75,000 in ADO funds, and 3,165 in broadband. Is that correct? Yeah, because we still have let's see, yeah, because there's a new project that's the new project would be 1.165 million and the other one's 2 million, and we still have we'll still have that revenue to come.
Well, it would
Is
be
that
at
right?
least 3,265,000 if you added 100,000 and
Did I not read it right?
3.165.
Mhm.
So it'd be higher than that.
Okay. All right, let me see here. 90. So yeah, it's 30, yeah, so it's 100,000 short. Okay. I think I'll just leave it where it is. I'd rather underestimate, because I think I meant it to be the 3,250. I probably meant to back off the broadband a little bit because I will have gotten a little bit of a reimbursement by then. So I think that I meant it to be the 3,250. Okay, so let's say it would be 3,065,000 for broadband. Take 100 off that. Okay. All right, so there you go. That number at the bottom includes all the funds, temporary investment, reserve, cash on hand.
Okay.
Want to do questions on this side first, or you want to go through expenses and then discuss?
So we go through this, so we're here.
Okay.
I would still like to see us not take the 1% tax levy. I would like to see us get by and do more with less. And be less of a burden on the taxpayers. We're already hovering really close to the top of our 45 cents on the 1,000, with where we're sitting at now, and I just really think that we can adjust things to be able to provide the same quality services that we do without putting additional burden on our taxpayers. As far as the inflation goes, it's been a lot harder on the citizens of the community than it is on us, and I don't think we need to be putting additional burden on them, especially in light of many people's property taxes have just gone up. I've heard lots of reports of people's property taxes doubling, some cases even tripling. And now they want to put a Metropolitan Parks District on the ballot, which can increase taxes anymore. And I don't think we need to be doing that this year. I think we can be just fine without doing that. So in my opinion, I would like to omit the 1% levy increase and adjust accordingly. I don't know how the other commissioners feel about that, but that is my opinion on the matter.
I have a similar view on that, with, all the things he has said, associated with where we're at right now with other taxes. To me, I want to see us have an ability to trim where we need to, still provide the service, or not add that additional tax at this time.
So the tax, Jenny, would be about, and thank you, John. The tax would be $4,600.
4631 exactly.
Okay, as far as expenses that we could trim. Would the commissioners be willing to consider not being paid?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's always an option.
I mean,
I mean, if that's what it took, I think there's other room, but
Right.
absolutely.
I see a lot of other areas that we can certainly do some trimming on the expense side, so we'll talk that through when we get to
Sure.
it, but
I mean, so on the next page, obviously on the expenses, that's about $5,000. So that would be a really easy way to cover that 4,600. So if we could cover the, review the expenses then.
Sure. Is that the only comment on income?
when we get down into the special projects, $90,000 finished trail design. So we've got, is that $70,000 coming from WSDOT?
Yeah.
And we're supposed to provide $20,000.
Yeah, we promised to do it. We have to. We
Promise
signed
to.
a contract. Promise WSDOT. We promised in the application and the contract.
Right, and if we
Yeah.
don't,
We'd probably be in trouble.
what's the trouble?
Uh,
I want to know what the penalties are. I'm curious because there's the $20,000 that we have to spend out to finish design of something that we're not going to complete. So
But the grant was for design, not construction.
I
And we
understand, so why
so
should
we would be
spend
going
more money
against-
to
because-
finish design for something that isn't going to be completed? anyway?
Because we would be going against our word and our signed contract, what we said we would complete. And I don't want to do that for the port. You can make that choice, but we'd be going against our word.
So we have a contract?
Yes.
Okay, so then there would probably, if there's a contract and there's a penalty, probably we
I'm
could-
asking you, what is the penalty? I'm curious to know.
we could check that
That's
out.
all I ask.
We could
It's a
check
simple
that
enough
out.
question.
Well, yeah, it is a simple question, but it's more than just a penalty. It's also not following through on an
I
obligation.
understand that.
which
I'm
is
not saying that's the
uncomfortable.
decision I want to make at this time, but I would like to know what the options are.
Yes. Yeah, we could take a look to see what liquidated damages have gone the default on the contract. Which might be pretty hefty. I have no idea. Okay, expenses then, Jenny.
Yeah, that's it on that page and going to the next.
Okay. So you'll notice the staff number is less than it was before, and that's because as I described before, last year, we were asked to put in the gross amount, and that did not work out for the bookkeeper at all. So this is back to net, and it's pretty tight. Usually I try to, as I've told you before, I under budget in revenues and over budget in expenses, because I prefer to have money left at the end of the year. But I have trimmed it down to this, pretty much covers it. It does include a 5% COLA. Last meeting, I had proposed 3%. You guys had talked about thinking it needed to be more because of inflation, so that was my compromise. You can certainly pick a different number. Commissioner salaries, then I've got payroll taxes. They're all also look different from the previous year because of that gross versus net reporting. So this is both employer and employee share. PERS is higher because Tracy takes advantage of PERS, the PERS benefit, and Melody did not. I left advertising the same. I increased dues and fees because we spent more than that last year. Increased election expense. I have absolutely no idea what that'll be. It's a crapshoot. Increased insurance to 90,000. Janitorial went up, so I increased it this year. It went up over last year because of whatever, they raised their price. We have to pay a professional company to clean the GSA building because we have a contract with them and we are required to do it. And I don't know what the consequences are if we don't, but that is why we pay for that. Leasehold tax is a pass through. Miscellaneous is budget neutral, as I mentioned. Office equipment was higher last year because we used that line item to pay to put in the fiber to our building. And so I put it back down from where it was at the end of last year. Is a little higher than the year before because of inflation. And so I have included new equipment for one workstation. We really don't have to replace it every 3 years, but we have replaced the office managers was replaced 2 years ago. Kelly's desk was replaced this year, and mine is actually about 5 years old. So I really need to try to budget to replace mine this year. Johnny did bring up the tablets again. You know, I had asked a local company for a bid and never got one. But if you guys would like to revisit tablets, we may need to put more money in that line item there. Office supplies I increased due to inflation. Promotional hosting is set by the legislature. It cannot be any more than $2,500. Some years we spend money out of that fund and some years we don't. That's money spent on wining and dining businesses or whatever the state thinks is wining and dining businesses. And when we had COVID, there was very little of that going on.
Right.
Publications, I decreased it. We are not getting as many printed publications as we used to. We get a couple of local newspapers and the Capital Press. I think that's about it. State auditors fee, they're supposed to be here this year, but they are notoriously come at the end of the year. So I went ahead and budgeted some for next year, even though this is only an every 3 year bill, except if somebody turns us into the state auditor, which has happened to me in the past, and it cost us $12,000 for there to be no finding because the accusations against us were false. But so I always put money in for that. Telephone internet is basic, just put it barely above what I did last year. I think we'll come in under budget. Meals and travel, we've been way under on that, mostly because of COVID. Although this year we have done a little more traveling, so it might be closer to, in fact, I don't know where we are on that one. Let's see. Yeah, we still barely spent any money in it, but it's good to leave there in case you guys want to go to conferences. I go to a few, but not really too many.
So 755 is what we,
Mhm.
this last year.
That was last year, yeah. I went to almost nothing, yeah.
Do we know what it's at right currently?
Yeah, it looks like we are at. We've spent 4,450. And we are going to, is that the right line? Wait a minute. Travel meals. 3,373. And Jeannie and Tracy and I are going to the small ports meeting next week. So this money here includes the registration fee has been paid, but the hotel rooms have not been paid yet. So we'll have to pay for hotel rooms. Let's see, utilities. So these are, part of this is the pass-through utilities at Blue Mountain Station, but we also pay utilities here. We pay utilities at the co-working building and we pay utilities at GSA. And then we pay utilities for any tenant space where they may move out and we need to keep the water on or the heat on. So I increased it just because of where we ended up last year. Also, this includes propane for Blue Mountain Station kitchen and the boiler. And oh my gosh, our price has been so high. So I switched this month to Valley Co-op here in town. came around and they were offering half prices if anybody's looking compared to Feral Gas, half the price. So we went ahead and switched. So hopefully that number will not have to be that high.
What company that?
Valley-wide, the co-op, the one that bought AgLink.
Okay,
Feral Gas was $4.11 a gallon and they offered me $2.09.
nice.
I know.
quickly.
I said, yes.
Yeah.
All right, community support. This is, we have a contract to support workforce development with young people at the club. We have a contract with the chamber. We support the Small Business Development Center in Walla Walla with this dollar amount. It's very, very worthwhile. They help a lot of businesses here. And then we always have some uncommitted. This year, we have not spent any out of the uncommitted. It's still intact. But I usually put a little extra there in case someone comes and asks for funds. And then economic development, this is usually, we don't spend all of it, but we budget for the events and other classes that we do. WSU is going to come down and do a food safety class in January, so there may be, maybe a few expenses with that and some other classes besides the events. Architecture and engineering, I left, let's see, left the bike trail funds there and then put in 10,000 just for general, and I put that in bold because you guys have talked about maybe a building or master planning or something. So I put a little extra there. That of course can be eliminated. It's just, that's for, investing in the community, not for, it's not a maintenance or something we have to do. Accounting is for our contract bookkeeper. Legal is for our port attorney, and it's woefully, they don't charge us enough, but there it is. And then consultants, that's where I also put in extra money. Usually I budget between $5,000 and $10,000 just for general stuff, but I put in 50,000 for, we need to pay for the comp plan update. I'm sure some of it will be this fall and some of it next year. And then there would also be extra there for master planning or something else that we've talked about doing, that we would be determining from the comp plan update. And let's see, maintenance of port property. I have increased both maintenance and capital improvements. It's just getting hard to maintain what we have for that small amount of money. Part of it's inflation, part of it's weed control. I made fun of Sensky last year for their $20,000 bid to do weed control, but now I'm kicking myself for why didn't I just do it? So I increased that. And then as far as land and capital improvements, I did submit in your packet a capital facilities plan for consideration, and the things that I budgeted for. We have to finish the co-location center, which isn't much. We're putting in a door. It may be paid for this year. I don't even know if it'll stretch over to next year. I believe that the CBD tenant is moving out of Blue Mountain Station. He has been teetering on the edge of trying to decide what to do, and I think he's gonna move out. And if he does, they accepted the building as it was because they wanted to move in so quickly and we never got the HVAC finished. So if he moves out, we have to put in HVAC, and it's a 4,500 square foot space. I also think there's there could be some wall improvements in that space. We also could divide it further if we wanted, but I think it's kind of nice to have that big space. And then we always struggle with, we have music at the Blue Mountain Station events and people love it. We struggle with where to put them. And we talked last year about having just a simple outdoor platform or something over by where we have the plug. So I put a little money in. I have no idea how much it would cost. So it's just a kind of a placeholder, but I did put that in, and then a little extra, anything that might come up in the industrial park. Marina maintenance and improvements, that dollar amount is what is in our lease with them. We're required to budget that amount for support of the facility. Broadband infrastructure, I have in here what I believe is remaining to be paid out on the Dayton project, not including the match. And then the new Touche Valley broadband project, which is budget neutral because there is no match. And broadband maintenance. So here is an estimate. We'll be contracting with a company to maintain the fiber optic system. It is not something the port is going to do.
Mhm.
So I suspect that it will be low dollars at the beginning. So I'm being conservative. It's probably more than we need, but I would rather budget that direction. We also probably should consider putting money in setting money aside and keeping it probably kind of restricted for future, big events that would happen with the fiber, like somebody digging it up and they didn't have insurance or if we wanted to improve the system or add to it or whatever. So if there's enough revenue, I think that we should probably do that. Special projects, there's the $100,000 placeholder, and then I put in the $20,000 rail bank grant match because we talked about doing that. You'll notice I did not budget for the sale of that property. They still have not been able to get their surveyor. I called him yesterday and asked. So, but we did we did talk about doing it. So that also could be removed if expenses wanted to be cut somewhere, but then we're not investing in the system. That's it for that one. And then the debt service remains pretty much the same, except the industrial building number 2 revenue bond down here in the industrial park will be paid off halfway through the year. So that gave us some extra revenue. And then I'm proposing to end the year with 245,000, which would be keeping the 150,000 in reserve and 100,000 cash on hand. There you go. And I want you to remember that a budget is a guide. It is impossible at this moment to exactly predict everything. Okay.
I wanted to go back real quick to the income side. I had a question on the miscellaneous grants and loans, the $75,000 in ADO funds. Can you explain that?
The
What- what- what
75,000,
the ADO funds, what they are, where they come from, and what we got to do to get them. And
that's
what
the
does it-
Department of Commerce funds.
okay,
You're familiar with them. That's what Melissa had when you were at the chamber.
right.
Yeah.
And so is that something to do with the $10,000 that comes out of our community support fund
Yes.
to the chamber?
Yep. Yeah, and so we have to, okay, so for the ADO funds, we have to provide business, economic development services countywide.
Right.
That's why, like, one meeting, Johnny was asking me, like, what do we have to do with the Eagles? Well, it's because we are responsible for working with businesses countywide.
Right.
So I have to report quarterly to
Mhm.
the state and report to them what businesses I've worked with, how many jobs have been created, if there's any businesses we've lost, trainings that have been done, business visits that have been done. It's extensive reporting.
Right.
So if we did not have that money, it would basically shut down all of that kind of outreach that the port does.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so we currently do that contract through the Chamber of Commerce. Does that have to continue with them indefinitely?
You mean the $10,000
Right.
contract we have with them? The 75,000 comes from the state. The
Right.
county commissioners decide where it goes. They designate who the ADO is.
Mhm.
We get the money and then we have a contract with the chamber.
Okay.
So
I,
the county decides what operations get the money.
yes,
So they decided that the chamber got that.
no, the port.
The
chamber used to get it.
Okay,
The chamber used to get it, and the chamber about, I don't know, 7 years ago, asked if the port would take it. Okay, we did not take it from the chamber. They asked us if we would take it.
so.
And
the
so
county
we
commissioners
contract-
say, we're gonna give it to the port.
Yes.
The port says.
We're gonna
this
give
is how
some,
we're gonna divvy it.
yes, and the chamber helps with downtown business development. So that is, and they have to give me a report every quarter.
Right.
So I mean, we are an economic development entity, so it actually works quite well for ports to have that ADO money. There are about 5 or 6 of them in the state that do. I think it works well anyway. That's my opinion.
So I guess my question is, why are we taking that money out of community support fund rather than out of economic development?
Oh, because because the ADO funds are spread out all through the expenses. I mean, part of it's staff, part of it's community support, part of it's economic development. There's several expense items that come out of it. That's just a label. We could relabel it if you want to relabel it. I just called it community support,
Mhm.
but it could have a different name if you'd rather, or if it could have a different line item.
Right.
You could put it in the economic, we could put economic development where we have 10,000. You could take 10 from community support and put it in economic development and have the contract come out of that line item. That's just an internal
Right.
labeling.
It's kind of nice to have the community support option to be able to do different things
Yeah.
when things come up.
Yeah.
It would be nice to be able to keep that.
Mhm. Yeah.
But the chamber coming out of economic development would free some of that up.
Oh,
be able
you
to do
mean,
more things.
you're talking eliminate what we already spend for economic development?
No, I'm talking about putting the Chamber of Commerce $10,000 into the economic development category and increasing that to 20,000.
Oh, okay,
to
got
cover
it,
that.
got it, okay.
But I don't necessarily
Hmm.
want to decrease our community support a lot. I still want to
Oh, I see.
the community.
Right.
I see, okay.
Because
So-
our impact on the community and the things that we can do with that budgeted amount could be, substantial.
Where would you propose taking the 10,000 then, from a different line item? Where would you just take it out of cash on hand?
I would take it out of either cash on hand or I would eliminate the Blue Mountain Station stage. I think that can be put off for a while. I noticed in the capital facilities plan that there's $20,000 approximately proposed for that.
Right,
I
but,
don't think we need to be putting a stage out there right now. That's just money we don't need to be spending, that we have other priorities that money could be spent on. I understand that Vance wanted to play on it, whatnot, but there are other options that we could do rather than building a permanent outdoor stage out there when we don't even know what the direction of that property is going to be, since we're going to be redoing the comp plan. So I think it would be premature to spend that money on a stage out there at this point.
Remind me, what is the cost on the estimated cost on that outdoor stage?
I have no idea. I just put money in the capital
Right.
facilities. And capital facilities and economic development funds are very different, so
Mhm.
they're not the same category. But if you don't want to do this, I mean, it's really not, I mean, I guess I would ask you then, what community support do you want to do? That we're not,
I think we should.
for
be-
10,000,
I think we should be supporting the American Legion for one.
in what way?
Well, we give $5,000 to the club. Why are we doing that?
Because we have a contract with them for services, they have to do services.
What
So what
do they
services would they do workforce development with the students, it's a very specific contract.
And the American Legion works with veterans, finding them jobs and getting them employment and things like that as well. So they are also a valuable asset as far as our workforce goes.
Yeah, I am not disputing that they are valuable, but what I am disputing, or I'm not disputing, is we would have to check with the state, see if it's legal.
Mhm.
Because the contract we have with the club, the state auditor looked at it very carefully, and they had to find an RCW that matched it to make it legal for us to do it.
I'm more interested. in
So I don't
path
know.
to yes, rather than opposition to it. So let's look into that.
Has just out of curiosity, the American Legion, have they contacted you for any assistance?
No, they've not asked, no. Yeah, so it would be, that would be important to have a request.
Right, right. You had mentioned, you had seen an estimate for the outdoor stage?
No, I'm just going by the numbers that are in the capital facilities plan.
Mhm.
It says Blue Mountain Station outdoor stage, 2023, $20,000
Oh, okay.
estimated project
Yeah.
cost. I know that's an arbitrary number, but it's probably not very far off,
Mhm.
you know.
There are an awful lot of our citizens that really enjoy what we do out there, so it does serve the community, so I want to
I'm
make
not saying
sure
it
that
doesn't serve
that's.
the community.
Yeah.
I'm saying that now may not be the right time to do it. And same would go for the Blue Mountain Station signage of $9,000 that we don't need to put out there this year either, so.
People complain all the time about it, and we've been told by the state that we can't put a sign out there. But other people seem to be having signs on the highway for their businesses, so I thought maybe we should try again. Because people do complain that there's no sign.
Well, you asked the areas if we could cut costs to be able to take care of the things that I mentioned, so there's a couple areas that we can cut costs that we don't need to take care of right now. Thank you.
Mimi, do you have any comments?
Nope. I'm comfortable with the budgeted items for expense. For the total 715,300. As far as community support, if we have received any requests from other organizations who are wanting assistance for, employment for veterans, I think that's important too. But the American Legion, I haven't heard that they have had any discussion?
Well, I don't think that an organization needs fundraising at a doorstep.
No, but
Help them.
if there is a need, then I would think that they would come for someone who has funds for assistance in.
I just see the value in our assistance to them and the program that they offer as valuable, you know.
And I'm not
more
disputing that.
to the workforce and the community as what the club provides,
sure.
you know, in providing daycare services for children after school programs
Mhm.
and whatnot. So,
Not daycare,
I
but-
said after school program and after school programs. So that being said, you know, I think the value is there as far as investing into our community, and I would like us to look into that.
Okay.
Other questions I had, under special projects, the $100,000 placeholder, I think that's more than adequate. I don't think we need to add an additional $20,000 for the railroad grant match. I think that 20,000 can come out of the $100,000 placeholder. I don't see us coming up with an incredible amount of unexpected grants that we're going to need extreme amount of a lot of funds for. There might be some, but it's not going to be a huge amount. And I think that by reducing that frees up another $20,000.
Actually, it doesn't, because I have $100,000 income. That's why I called it a placeholder.
Okay.
It's budget
All
neutral.
right.
Yeah.
Other than that, you know, by eliminating the outdoor stage and the signage out there, I think that will free up some funds. As far as the cost of living increase at last meeting, I know that you had suggested 3%. Jeannie had suggested 5 to 10. I said I wanted to wait and see what the budget was. I wasn't agreeable to anything at that time. Since then, having looked at the port policies and procedures and the compensation schedules that are set therein, you're maxed out. And I don't think we need to raise that at this point. You were just brought up to the maximum salary this year. You received another substantial raise the previous year. Tracy was just hired on, and I assume that you hired her on at a competitive salary. So hers should be pretty much suitable for the cost of living that we're in right now. So I would propose that we skip the cost of living raise this year, because that would put you over our compensation schedules, and that would require us to redo the policy, and I don't think we need to do that at this time. So that's my suggestion for that.
So we redo policies in January, and any kind of COLA that there was would not take effect until January. So the policy, we've changed the ranges in the policy many times. And also, it is very unusual to determine whether or not you're going to give an employee a raise, whether when they haven't been evaluated.
Well, this is in the
So,
performance review.
yeah.
This is the cost of living adjustment, so there is a difference in
okay.
that.
And I just want to note for the record that I didn't ask for a raise.
I understand that. I'm just saying that I'm going off the numbers that are here on the papers given to us.
Again, inflation, the CPI that's estimated for January is approximately 9.6%. As you mentioned, inflation is high. One reason why you are considering not increasing the levy by 1%. Again, if we're talking inflation, you're talking, one versus the other. I don't see how you can say inflation, it's not increased by 1% and say inflation doesn't count when you're talking about salaries.
Well, we all have to give and take a little bit here and there at the same time that, as a government agency that's supported by the taxpayers, that we need not to be putting additional burdens on them. I've already said that I'm willing to forego my commissioner's salary. I think we can all make a little bit of a sacrifice here.
Okay.
I'll be taking a loss and she'll be staying the same, so there is a difference there too. So
As far as your responsibilities compared to my responsibilities, and again, I'm not speaking for both of you, but I feel, the compensation for the cost of living adjustment for the staff here is warranted.
I am very concerned about losing staff. I mean, it is hard to have good staff. I think you need to think about that. For me, no, whatever, but for the staff, I'd really like you to reconsider that, because I don't want to lose good people. It's hard to have good employees.
take that into advisement. Thank you.
Johnny, any comments?
Well, lots of good discussion. To me, there's more discussion to be had. And it raises questions that I didn't have coming into it to think about you on. Coming into the process and having that opportunity to think about what those things are. Do I think that there's places to be shaved? Yeah, absolutely. Do I want the 1%? Do I want to increase the tax? Whether it's 3 cents or $300? No, I do not. That's not in my mindset at this current moment. With everything being the way it is, it still hasn't ironed out across our community, and that we're still going to go through some bumps that are still unforeseen of what those are. So that's where I'm at with that. Still have some, whether we want to reach out and move some money and support another outfit rather than one that we historically supported, as long as it's legal, as long as it's legit, and as long as we can look at that and research, say, hey, yes, we can divvy that up, or we can take that another direction. I think that's something we should probably look at. I want to have those conversations with those entities that may have not reached out, but maybe we reach out and say, hey, as long as it's legitimate to do it, I don't want to get the port in a jam in any way legally, and make sure we spend the money appropriately on where it's at. So that's where my mind's at with all of this stuff. But I have a lot of agreements with conversation that Seth just had, and it just opened up some other questions and thought processes.
Well, we have to adopt a budget in November.
Mhm.
So if you're not, I mean, this, as I said at the beginning, this is a guide. This is not, no, it's not. I mean, it's not like we can't shift money around, and we're different than counties. We can shift money during the year from line to line without having to even do a budget amendment.
Mhm.
So it's less about, this budget is not, it's not meant to be making a statement about exactly what you're gonna spend your uncommitted community support on. It's a matter of budgeting, putting money in that fund,
Mhm.
so that then you have it to do that year. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah,
I
okay.
think we understand
Okay.
that.
So I really don't think we're that far off.
I don't think so either.
I don't think we're that far off, and we need to, I mean, I can go back and rework things and submit it to you, but we really do, we need to advertise for a public hearing.
Yes.
And then the budget has to be available for public viewing before that hearing. So we have to know what we're doing. And normally what we do is hold the public hearing at our November meeting. And by state law, we have to have the budget passed before the end of November. And then we have to turn a copy into the county. So we really don't, I mean, that's why we had the general discussion last meeting. Then we do draft this meeting, and then usually we adopt it November. So unless you want to do something different, I can rework the numbers and send it to you. And you can, send it to you electronically, and you can tell me via email what you think. It's either that or we'll have to have another meeting.
Well, we can start with that. If we need to schedule a special meeting, we can
Okay.
do that.
All right.
Yeah, I don't want to put us behind the 8 ball
It's-
whatsoever. I just want to have it squared away. And I do understand that it's flexible and movable, but I want to have it as close to legitimate what we're looking at as far as the word.
Yeah.
So a little tweaking on that, moving some stuff around. I don't think it's a heavy lift. Something that can be sent out to us. We check it
Oh,
out.
it's not, it's the changes you suggested are just really not that big.
Yep.
And besides that, remember, I left the revenue out of the Cameron Street co-working, so
Mhm.
there's money there that you haven't even seen yet, so. All right, so does that all sound okay then?
Sounds good.
All
Yeah.
right,
Thank you.
All right, and then Jenny, we have a budget lease.
What?
I mean, a lease.
oh, yes, so we have one lease today, and this is North Home Bees. I told you that Bee Local Honey was moving out of Suite A of Blue Mountain Station, and this is another honey processor that knows them and is actually even gonna buy some of their equipment and rent the same space. So that is the only one I have today. I do have good news on the Blue Mountain Station garden. We've got because as you've seen, it's completely out of control and horrible. And so we have the guy who runs the NRCS down here is wanting to rent it and start this fall. Yes, and he wants to put in high tunnels, so that's exciting, but it's not written up yet. So I will pass this page to you for signature. You're on the yellow sticky side. That's the only lease I have today.
You had said the CBD person is thinking of
Yeah, he's gonna move out, yeah,
the end of the year.
end of November.
Okay. That's a big space.
Yeah, it's
So that's
big.
not something that's just thinking about it.
I'm pretty sure he's
Committed to
gonna do
that?
it, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's gonna do it, yeah. I don't think we'll have any trouble renting it, as you've seen, everything we have open is immediately rented, but, yeah, it's sad, he's been a great guy. Great renter.
What's the monthly on that?
It's actually, 1850, but that was, yeah, it's a big space, and it also, he took it as is, so it's a little less, but we didn't, the rent will go up when we put in the HVAC.
Right.
So that's, that's why I say the budget is a guide, because these, with all the private tenants we have, there's a lot of moving pieces.
Okay,
I got a quick question.
okay, go ahead, sorry.
So if we did have a tenant that wanted to do the same type of thing, as is.
Oh.
Is that something that is, we would look at, or we just say, no?
Oh.
Or rent it out again, we're gonna.
Oh, no, we'd sure look at that. Yeah, it's just a rare business that wouldn't need HVAC. It would have to be just like warehousing, and that's, we are trying to do the highest and best use of our assets,
Mhm.
and using something just for storage is not a highest and best use. So
That's a huge space.
it is, and it has
Really
French
huge.
drains, and we actually need more storage of our own. I sometimes wish we could divide it and keep 1,500 square feet just for port stuff, but then we don't have any revenue, so I don't know.
Maybe you'll have an HVAC company come take it over.
That's fun.
Awesome. Awesome. That's a good idea.
That's their down.
There you go, yeah. Well, we are benefiting from him being there because they put in the electrical, because they were so desperate to get in.
No?
They put a lot of electrical inside that building. I mean, we had it hooked the service, but they did it all inside, and we get to keep it, so. And it works out for us.
Okay, the last item under administrative is your RFP for the comp. plan.
Yes, so as I said in my email, we only got one RFP. I emailed everybody several times, but I suspect it's about price because I asked the Port of Woodland, which is pretty small, how much they spent on their comp plan upgrade, and it was $150,000. And I said, well, we can't spend that. So I suspect that's it. But the good news is that all of the port directors that I emailed and asked for their recommendations, this was the #1 firm they all had recommended before we ever did the RFP. So I feel very good about them. I've talked to them about the balance between them coming here in person and holding meetings and doing Zoom meetings with us for updates. It sounds like it's a good balance. They will come here quite a bit.
Mhm.
And I know them from some of them from my WPPA work. So I am very comfortable with accepting with them. But of course, it's especially since it could be $50,000, that is a decision that the commission needs to make. And it doesn't mean it will be $50,000. It just means that's the cap.
That's what I was gonna
Yeah,
ask. You
that's the
haven't
cap.
received.
No, that when you do an RFP for services like this, you can't base it on price. It's supposed to be based on qualifications.
Uh-huh.
But they're a great company, so, and they've worked with a lot of ports.
It looks like it from their report to you.
Pretty good to me. And
Okay.
do they know that, it's gonna be within, there's a.
Yes,
Do not
I put it
say.
in the RFP,
Okay.
and I don't always do that, but in this one I did, because when I saw how much other ports spent, that's why I've always done it myself,
Mhm.
to save money. But in this case, I think it's important that we have someone besides me leading the discussion.
Mhm.
Okay, so shall I go ahead and move forward with them?
Please.
Will you make,
Okay.
okay, I was gonna say, will you make a motion,
Oh, yeah.
just so it's formal? So it's in the minutes.
I will move that we proceed with what are they?
Mall Foster.
Mall Foster Alongi.
For our comprehensive plan consultant.
I will second that motion.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to accept the RFP from Mall Foster Alongi for the consultation on the comp
I
plan.
think it's Alongi, but that's okay. Yeah, I think it is.
All right.
You just better get it right before they show up.
I know it exactly. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. One G, one G, one G. All right. Update on port assets, Rock Hill Industrial Park.
Okay, I'm gonna go through this fast since we've got other fun things on the agenda. Rock Hill Industrial Park. We signed a new agreement with the Department of Corrections. We've had them come and do trimming and stuff in the past. This year they weren't able to come, but I went ahead and renewed the contract. So if we want them to come and help us weed eat and stuff, they will. Had the overhead door go bad at Columbia River, the new detail place today, so we had to call on that. And then I already told you about the handyman has been going around and doing gutters. The marina, I will tell you that they won the KOA Founders Award again, which is really a big deal. And I have been bugging Anderson Perry about the pull-through sites plan, so we've got to get that completed. Because they cannot stay a KOA until it gets done, so I'm having to do a little nagging. Blue Mountain Station, I told you about the CBD, probably most likely moving out. I did sell the wheat, we had 778 bushels, I sold it for $9.20 a bushel, which is quite fun
That is,
compared to normal.
yes.
I can't believe I'm even saying that out loud. Let's see, what else? I guess I didn't have anything. I told you about the new tenant. Oh, and then Sweet Cheeks Bake Shop's moving into Sweet H this month. Nancy is out. Oh, gosh, I can't believe I forgot to tell you this. Shoot, we made there is a woman who works for Cap. Cap, KAPE and KAPP and KVU TV in the Tri-Cities, and they were doing a show on ag producers in the region. And they asked us if we wanted to participate. So of course, this is one of those, you get participate in the show and then you pay for ads. So we are doing it, and they came out and filmed last week. It was really fun. They filmed each of the tenants and then filmed the market, and the show will be on the air. We get 4 minutes on the show and 128 ads per month on the TV, $1,500 for 3 months. And so we'll see how it goes. But there were other fun, regional businesses that were part of who was being featured. So can't believe I forgot to tell you that one. I was excited about it.
So it was just on the Blue Mountain Station?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, because it was ag. Well, they're doing other businesses, but for us, that was our ag
Sure.
connection. Yeah.
Fantastic.
And they were doing, Pepper Bridge Winery was one of them, then there's some other farms and farm businesses and food businesses in the valley.
So we don't see that channel here.
I don't either. Yeah, some people do, right?
What is it? KU?
KView out of Tri-Cities.
Cities? Yeah, on the internet.
Yeah, they said we could watch it on the internet, but does anybody get it on their TV?
No,
Okay,
I don't watch TV.
yeah,
I don't
I have Dish and it's Spokane news. So I didn't see Tri-Cities. Okay,
All right, and Columbia Walla Walla Railroad.
no, they brought the Lincoln car here for home tours and that's about all I have to report. Let's see. Seems like we had some other interaction. I can't remember what it was.
And I think it's probably leaving tomorrow because the engine is tied up to it today.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay, any questions? For me?
At last meeting, you said you were going to talk to the potential purchaser about the railroad.
Yeah.
and
I have not talked about the appraisal, and that is just because I've been so busy, so I'll keep it on my list, talk to the appraiser. What was I gonna ask him again? Oh, he'd give me a price range.
Right.
Was I gonna ask for a more detailed price? Is that what it was?
That's what you
Okay.
did earlier.
All right. I have had my hands full. I have not had time to do that. I'll write her down.
Thank you.
All right, under Community and Economic Development, Executive Director's Report. Jenny.
I have talked with a few businesses this month. I think I'll just go ahead and go into broadband and the next one, just to save time.
All right.
Nothing really much to report other than, well, I had an interesting visit at Woody's today, but, none of it's very positive. Okay, so Dayton Community Broadband, we have been going to the apartment buildings around town. We have visited Eagle Manor. And it was so fun because people there even just came out of their apartments. They were so excited and they were shaking their fists at CenturyLink and saying, when are you coming? So that was fun. Went to, we've done Cameron Court. We did Columbia Court today. And then the designer has, we've talked to Best Western, Weinhardt Hotel, Seneca, and the hospital. They all want fiber. And I just have one holdout, which is whoever owns the Weinhardt Apartments. That man will not call me back. Does anybody know anybody who lives at the Weinhardt Apartments?
Where is that?
It's up, it's above the Wanaha Gallery.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He won't call me back. He's from the Tri-Cities and I've called 3 times and he won't call me back. So I feel bad because the residents won't have service if you won't call because it's units. You know, we have to ask where to put the equipment. So if anybody knows anybody that lives there, let me know.
Have you
If
tried
they
to
get a
text
hold of
him?
them. But
Try texting him. Some people text more than phone calls.
that's a good idea. I will try that.
Well, they don't have to reserve this spot, do they?
No, they don't have to reserve it, but it's hard to hook them up, you know, because if, okay, so for example, the fiber will be in the alley.
Yep.
If the Weinhardt Hotel says, yes, we want fiber, then the Port Project pays to take that connection over to the hotel
Mhm.
and then figures out a way to get service to each room or whatever the hotel wants. So it doesn't mean he can't have it in the future, but it means that the port would not be paying to go from the pole to the back of his building if he does not talk to us ahead of time. So that's the difference, but it doesn't eliminate him from having it. But imagine the tenants if they were, you know, finding out everybody around them had fiber and, yeah.
I would imagine if you had that tidbit information, that might motivate him.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I've left messages. I've left detailed messages. Maybe he's not listening. I don't know. He's a school board member in the Tri-Cities. His phone says this is such and such with the Pasco School Board or the Richland School Board. It's really strange. Out of town owner. Let's see, the fiber, I really,
Sorry,
really,
one last thing on that,
okay, go ahead.
because so when we start the infrastructure project, there will be another opportunity for people to get connected,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I
Yeah.
mean, once we start moving and shaking and breaking ground and.
Oh, yeah.
moving in that, right before that, there will be something going out for those entities.
Yeah, this is different because it's a multi-unit building. For individuals, it's not, it's,
Well, that's what I mean,
Yeah.
even multi-unit buildings, I would imagine there'd be something coming out right before.
you're gonna do a public building or public building, public
Public
meeting.
notice or
Yeah,
something
oh,
like
yeah,
that,
oh,
so-
yeah,
So that,
Yeah.
make sure that
Yeah.
people are aware of that.
yeah, yeah, it's,
Right, this comment, I'm following what Johnny is saying. This isn't your interview or going around to Cameron Court, for example, and someone wasn't home. They're not out of it if they didn't respond right now, are they?
no, we're going to the owners of the facility.
Oh.
Yeah, this is just about the owners. This is the owners of multi-unit, because if it's a house and the fiber's going down the street, yeah, they can get it, no problem. It doesn't matter whether they say anything now or not, they can get it.
you're
But if it's a
tenant, you can't
multi-
get it if your building doesn't have it.
Exactly,
Yeah.
there, that's the way to say it. That's the way to say it.
So
Yeah.
you're attempting to contact all of the owners
Of the building, yes,
multi-housing.
not, and that's the reason I asked if anybody knew who lived there is maybe a tenant could say to their landlord, hey, they're trying to get a hold of you. That's what I was thinking. All right, I want to show you pictures. Yes, so the fiber. 4 reels arrived today. Very exciting. That is the 432. The 432 count fiber. Jay's letting us store it in the secured part and use his forklift. So we need to thank him for that, because that was a very big deal.
Somebody else.
By letting us, is there a charge to that?
He hasn't charged us, he pays us rent. But it's temporary, I don't think he cares. Anyway, so I just thought I'd show you that, I don't know if I can show the other one. Will it work? It does, yeah, and see, this is CommScope, and it's actually made in America. Do you remember when we were doing the RFP and the feds wanted it to try to rule America? So pretty big deal, very big deal. And so this means it's 7,262 feet
Mhm.
and 4 reels, so it was about 35,000 feet.
And that is the fiber, not just the roll that's made in America, right?
That's good. They could be lying to us. No,
It's
It's actually made,
is that what you're talking
Yeah.
about? Yeah.
it's actually made in North Carolina.
Got it.
So I think I'm just gonna leave that up for the rest of the meeting because I'm just so excited. My fiber guys were laughing at me.
So how much more is coming in still?
10 reels.
10 more?
Yeah,
So a total of 14?
Yeah. yeah. The other ones are different sizes.
Yes.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, very exciting. Very cool.
And the what was it, 428? What's that, the biggest?
432.
We don't have an example of 432.
No.
That's the,
The
okay. we just have
288 is the
288.
biggest one we have. Yep. Yes, and let's see, the other thing we're doing is, just want to tell you in case, you hear about it, but. It's turning out to be only about 5% of the project that has to be underground, which is pretty good. We were thinking 10. It's about 5%, and it's mostly the homes in the northern part of the city, up on that hill where there's not power lines, overhead power lines. So we will, I think we have about 60 names, and we will prepare what's called a waiver, an underground waiver, and it'll have all the description of their property on it, and then we ask them to sign it. But if they don't want fiber, they don't sign it. So it's if they want fiber, they have to sign it because it has to be underground to their house. So we're working on that.
We had a discussion last time we were talking about broadband, about the existing wires that are all over the place on the poles.
Yep.
Maybe, was there an opportunity that they were gonna clean some of that up as they went through, or I forget what that conversation
We've
was.
talked about it a lot, both I've talked to the cities asked me about it, and oh, by the way, they approved the franchise agreement last night. Another big deal. You can see why I've been so busy. We've talked about it a lot, and what it comes down to is the TV cable on the poles is the responsibility of it's a relationship between TV and Pacific Core. Because we had to get an agreement with Pacific Core to hang fiber on their poles. So we have an agreement with them, and this agreement says if we are not using our stuff, we have to take it off. Okay. So that relationship says David should have to remove his cable. But David is not responding to anybody. So I really don't know what Pacific Core is going to do about it. But if we put our fiber on a pole and Pacific Core says the cable is, there has to be distances, whatever it is,
Mhm.
14 inches between power and fiber and cable. And they say the only way you can hang fiber on this pole is if the cable is moved down 3 inches. We have to do it. We have no choice.
Right.
We have to do it. So, that's it. That's it. That's what it comes down. And I said, pardon me?
So, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and if so I asked them the other day, I said, well, what if his cable is like drooping all over the street? And they said, well, that we might have to tighten it up. So we're not making it, we're just we might have to make improvements to it just so we can locate on the pole. But no more than that, no less than that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's not
We're not
our,
obligated to remove it.
no, not obligated to remove it, but it would be nice if it was that, it'd be nice if it was, because it's in such bad shape. If it was in better shape, it would be
But we will
It
have
might be a
authorization to, relocate it.
absolutely that, and that's, I asked them specifically about that, and that's what it is. But we're doing it to exactly what Pacific Power tells us to do,
Right.
and no more, no less.
Perfect.
But if you have to relocate it, why can't you just cut it? Get rid of it.
I don't know, I don't know, if Pacific Power tells us to, we would.
Be an interesting conversation.
It'd be cheaper
Um,
than
Oh.
trying to relocate it and tighten it and have
Oh.
a useless thing, just cut it
Oh,
and move
yes.
on.
Right.
Especially if indeed is a contract, like say, if we put ours up and we're responsible to take it down if we're not using it.
Mhm,
If indeed that is the same kind of contract verbiage that is in the contract that he currently has,
mhm.
I would probably definitely have that conversation and say, hey, want you to hold him to that.
Absolutely, and or the city. I've had that conversation with the city, because they're the ones that gave him a franchise agreement
But he has not been communicative.
with anyone.
And like I said, I don't know what the contract says, so I mean, I'm talking.
Well,
talk it, but-
The other weird part is that cable company is so old, their contract could be from 1950. When it was Pacific Power and Light, so we don't know what it says. I don't know what it says.
But with that same argument, if we did come across some spots that definitely needed removed, it may be simpler, cheaper, quicker. So,
If Pacific Power would allow it, yeah, we just have to go by what they say, yeah.
okay.
We don't want to be in trouble, so, yeah. Okay, and so that's moving along nicely, and the plan will be to go out for bid in November. And because it's a federal project, it has to be out for bid for 4 weeks. But that will be your first foray into a true public works project that's over the threshold for public bids. So this will be like we receive sealed bids
Mhm.
and we do not open them. We have a public meeting, you open them. Okay, does that make sense?
Sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay,
Right.
and then next is the contract, the Tushy Valley broadband contract. I have, the attorney and I went through lots of questions. I don't know if you guys had any, but, she asked about, if we had a contractual commitment with one internet service provider. The answer is yes, we have 3. Do we have to buy property? No. How do you protect confidential information? And she and I kind of went back and forth on this, because I thought she meant like what we give to the public if they ask. You know, because that's governed by law. I don't have it. Our policy doesn't cover that, but what she meant was. Things that come to us, you know, that we would be keeping confidential. So I'm gonna have to talk to her a little bit more about that. I wasn't sure exactly what she was talking about. There's very little that's confidential in a public realm.
Right.
You know, people's social security numbers,
Right.
stuff like that, but everything else is public, so.
Right.
Insurance requirements, we have to, but we meet them, but we have to have, insurance through Honduras. Do we participate in a local public transportation coordination? And the answer is yes, because I am vice president of the Palouse Regional Transportation Planning Organization, so we check that box. And then. Follow subcontracting requirements carefully, and she means, you know, putting it out for bid, making sure we follow everything. And so Kim told me that she is fine with this. If you approve it, she is fine with it. She has to sign it as well. I don't know if you noticed in the back, there's an attorney's, yeah. She asked about the timeline, because it's very weird in here. It talks about there might not be any money after June of 2023. And that's where we're not gonna be done by June of 2023, but when I called them, they said it's because of the biennium at the state budget process. They would, if the funds are not spent, these are federal funds that they have received, they have to reappropriate them. So this is like basically a cover their butts. Just in case something happened and the legislature didn't reappropriate them, we would have to stop. You know, we wouldn't get any more money.
Mhm.
So that there's no fighting that one. Or, you know, there's no changing that one, I guess. They said it was just a warning. And let's see, I asked about timeline, technical assistance, political activities. I said, what is that about? They said, don't worry about it. We don't lobby, so it's not there's no, I said, what do you mean? They said, if we paid lobbyists, if the port had a paid lobbyist, which we don't. And then. As of right now, we can still use the state environmental checklist. For this project, not the federal. Cross your fingers that stays that way. So that's it.
So I've not had a lot of time to really give this a lot of attention. This particular contract, this was quite a lengthy packet that we received this week.
Yes, it is.
And very little time, not getting until Monday evening to be able to go through things as thoroughly as I would like. I know we've been waiting for this contract for quite a while. But I'm wondering if we could have just a little bit of time to be able to look it over and examine it a little bit more thoroughly and maybe approve it and at the next meeting at a little bit later time. I just would really like to give this a little bit more attention and give the attention that it deserves without just being quick to jump on anything today.
It would be better if we didn't have to wait a month, really. It would be better. So, I have a couple of suggestions. One would be, that you, let's see, how could we do this? Either you, I don't know. I don't know how to do it without I was trying to figure out how to do it without having another meeting, or like if you wanted to call the port attorney and talk to her about it or something like that. You could approve it conditional upon, phone calls with the port attorney and feeling satisfied or whatever. Either that or we need to have a meeting because it's, well, let's see, you need to vote. You need to vote. I cannot sign a $1.15 million contract without a vote, so. There needs to be a vote, so I don't know how, but so maybe we should schedule a special meeting, even if it was 10 minutes.
Maybe we should, as we have budgeted.
I don't wanna wait.
That's what I was thinking too. If we're already taking a couple more weeks to take a look at the budget, get that revised coming back. Maybe we have an opportunity at that time to take a look at this and that, so that we're not behind the deadline in November,
Mhm.
on those type of things. So if we could
Yeah, I'm-
schedule another meeting on that.
We have
Because I haven't even diving into it, because I just got, able to look at it today. Not because of your, but my technical problems with my IT department, which is me, which was a mistake. So
How about next Wednesday, the 19th?
I could do that, if, I could do that at 5 o'clock.
I cannot do next Wednesday night.
What about Monday, the 17th? Or do you need to keep it on a Wednesday?
I would,
How about the 26th?
well,
26 would work for me.
I'm easy.
Does anything else work for you, Jeannie?
uh,
I'm out of town on the 19th, that's why.
okay. Fred will babysit. So the 26th is fine.
Okay. Oh,
Are you?
well, I already have a 5 o'clock meeting that day. I'm sorry, I forgot.
How long
But
does
I
it
don't,
go?
and it goes till 6.
We
But
can do
it's not,
15,
6:15. I don't
Okay.
anticipate that, I mean,
it shouldn't take a ton of time.
no,
mainly it's the time between
All right.
now and then to review it
Sure.
Mhm.
and then have that
Well, then-
conversation. then.
please feel free to call me in between and ask me questions. I mean, it just, if I can help speed things up for you, I'm happy to answer them in between.
Mhm.
Okay, so if we're going to 6:15, can you make 6:15 on the 19th?
No, I'm out of town on business.
Oh, okay.
So,
All right.
and I don't want to rely on trying to find a spot to
Sure.
connect here.
Okay, the 26th at 6:15. Can we say 6:30? Okay, that would,
You want 6:30?
yes, I know it's keep pulling into your hours.
That's all right, no, it's all right.
Okay,
I've been
I
doing
get
this
back
for-
into town at 6 o'clock.
If you guys think that meeting at 6:30 is odd for my life, you have not been following my life.
Okay, 6:30 on the 26th.
All right, I got it on my calendar.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I just hate to, after waiting for this in September, I hate to go any further.
Yeah,
Because I've got to start all the process of RFP for design and all that stuff.
Excellent.
So I may work on that paperwork. Unless you have any reason you think you're gonna just say no, I might start on some of the other paperwork, so I'm not super held up.
I don't anticipate that. That's not the
Okay.
point of this. I just
Okay.
literally have not had time to really.
Okay. Very good.
good.
I'll start on some of that other stuff, that busy work, and then I won't feel like I'm too far behind.
Perfect.
I just wanted you to legitimately look through it. like I'm
I don't blame you.
So,
It is a little bit mind boggling. And the Attorney General, reviews it, and then the Port Attorney says, I would like to change this line, and I email them and I say, no, you don't change anything.
Once
No, it's not the way it works.
once the AG gets involved. Okay.
Okay, so,
So now we have table rock
yes.
meets.
All right, well, we have Michelle Schown from Table Rock Meats is here. And I've been working with Michelle and Sierra for quite a while now. They got a startup grant from the port. I don't know, it's been over a year
Yeah.
ago for their downtown shop, and now they have been working hard to find funding to build a meat processing facility, as we have discussed. We have the appraisal on the 2 lots down here. So, the RCW, for selling land in an industrial district says that the proponent that would like to buy the land needs to provide, I don't remember the words, description and plans for the project. So Michelle and Sierra submitted the materials that I sent you yesterday. A lot of it is, they've been writing grant applications, so a lot of it was already prepared. Do you want me to show anything to them? I guess the only thing that I had included that did I not open it? That I thought might be helpful would be to show the no, stop. To show where it would be located in the industrial park, because that is we're gonna have to talk to the adjacent tenant who. There. Okay, now I gotta share, now I gotta go back here. There. There. Let's see.
It's the next page.
So this shows the lot, so this is Columbia County Transportation, and this is TEMA. And the reason I say we'll have to talk to TEMA is that, you know, TEMA rents a space down here, but because there has been no tenant here, you know, they spread out with their trucks and, you know, it's easier to spread out. So they would have to be aware that this change was taking place, but, basically what Table Rock Meats would like to do is buy these two lots right here. This is about, I don't remember the details. It's over about little over 2 acres altogether. And then on the next page, it shows, I helped them with this for a grant application. It shows that their building would be here. There's a tree out in the middle of the lot. The building would be here. They would have holding pens in the back. And then the grant applicant or grant program had asked for how you would connect to services. So I was showing that the water and sewer and everything is in the street. It's right here in Cameron Street. Electricity would have to hook up to this pole. So anyway, and then she sent the plans. And so the RCW says that we have to formally approve the plans in writing. And then we can proceed with starting the sale process. And the RCW also says it has to be sold at market price, which is appraised value. And we have an appraisal, so that makes that easy. And then we have to hold a public hearing to describe what we're doing to the public, ask for public comment. And then after the public hearing is closed, you can authorize the sale and then I can do the paperwork. And the RCW also says, because one of my concerns was selling land and then having it not developed, and then we've lost our land. But the RCW does say, and I did not realize this, but there's a part of it that says if they don't build their project within a year, that the land reverts back to us and we have to give them back their money. So we would have to take any money that we got from the sale and put it aside. So that's the process. And so Michelle's here if you have any questions for her, but I know they've worked really hard on this. So
Yes,
do you want to say anything?
I am excited to start building. We need a facility. We've got, with the USDA facility, which is what it will be, it opens up a huge market that people will come because they can, once it's USDA, they can have their animals processed and then resell. So it can go to restaurants, it can go to grocery stores, it can go anywhere. And on top of having the USDA facility, we started a nonprofit organization so that we can take the product that, has trouble selling, mainly hamburger, and feed some of the shelters, the women's shelter, veteran shelters, dog shelters. So it's farm to shelter, that's what it's called. And we can take bones and put them off. Anything that's processed USDA can then be carried on. We're in the process of trying to order a hamburger and meatball machine.
Mhm.
And then with the smokers, we can actually have it cooked and then deliver it to the shelters so that it's easier for them to process.
Mhm.
So the USDA facility will just open up a ton of options for,
You said hamburgers hard to get rid of?
it can be, yes, there's
Really?
more hamburger than not. Also in the
Okay.
community, I'm very community oriented. I don't want to bring, recognition to those farmers that have tried so hard and worked so hard. But. And I don't want to offend anybody. This is a subject that can offend people easily. But they're the cull cattle, the old cows that don't produce anymore. You haul them off to the sale and, you know, they go where they go. Well, we can take them and produce the whole thing into burger. And then actually help feed people because these old cows have been taken care of. They've been out to pasture. They're better than being shipped to a sale yard and hauled off on a semi for however many days to get to where they're going and, you know,
Mhm.
they'll be processed humanely, they'll be processed clean. It'll all be under the guidance of a USDA inspector, whereas the big facilities, they aren't watched like we will be. And so we can actually help more than just the community with employment. We can help those that actually need it.
That's great.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Well, I can say I encourage, or I applaud your courage
Thank you.
to be able to take on that endeavor. It's one thing to open up a business, but under the spotlight of the USDA and all the guidelines that go with that, it definitely takes a lot of courage to be able to do that. So I appreciate you having the fortitude to take a look at that for this community, for sure.
So I was born and raised with cattle, showed 4-H steers, and every year our animals always had a name in the freezer. One year they would be really good, the next year they would be horrible. Why? Why was there a difference? So I started getting into genetics and then the butcher shops, and we all know the past history of our butcher shop here. So you spend 2 to 3 years with this animal, raising it, taking care of it, trying to make it the best that you can, and in 2 weeks they ruin it. I would rather have a USDA facility that guarantees it's gonna be clean and good and taken care of than have it come out ruined. For anybody, for everybody. You should be able to know when you take an animal in there, it's gonna come out nice.
What's the footprint of that look like as far as your product coming in? Is it just primarily local beef that comes in or what have you, or is it
So
coming from a big span?
right now, it's going to be, I wanna say 100 to 150 mile radius-ish.
It's very local.
Yeah, fairly local. Even though this is a big project for us, it's still a very small facility.
Right.
So you can go up to Limit Bid in Odessa,
Mhm.
they're really large. The owners of Odessa are actually building another one. I don't know if I can say where, but it's even bigger. So there are bigger plants, but in the bigger plants, you lose that personalization, you lose a little bit of the control, you lose a little bit of the cleanliness, you lose a little bit of a lot of things. So sticking with the smaller one to where we just service about 150 mile radius is, in my opinion, a better avenue.
Is it just beef?
There's beef, pigs, goats, and sheep.
No game.
Okay, so that's a kicker. We will not be doing game in the USDA facility,
Mhm.
but when we move to the facility, that opens up our older shop.
Oh,
And our,
to be able to process.
we
that.
can process game in the older.
It's
shop.
separate.
Yep, so we will, as long as there's no cross contamination in the coolers.
Yep.
You're fine.
Hmm.
So there will not be any cross contamination. So yes, once this is built, then the game will be open in the other building.
Perfect.
Yeah, and then the other building will be our main street store to where we sell our products. I want to get down to where we put brands on the beef. So if you bring cattle in, your brand's on your beef. If I have it, my brand. So it kind of educates the public. Do you like Angus? Do you like Wagyu? I raise Wagyu. Do you want grain fed? Do you want grass fed? Do you want, what do you like? Because when you go to a store and you like a product, then how do you get it again? So it's got a brand on it, you know where it came from,
Mhm.
you know what they did, and if you want to, you call them. Say, hey, I just got this, it's got a number on it, can you tell me anything? I'll be like, yeah, that's number 134, and this is the whole history on that animal. So if that's really what you like, then when I get the next one that's like that, there you go. You know what you want.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, we do a lot of blind taste testing just to see if it's really the meat or is it really our in our heads. And it's so much fun just trying the different ones. And we've gotten a whole group of people that are finally saying, okay, beef is not just beef. We like this. Some people don't like peas in their grain. That's okay. I'll find somebody who doesn't feed peas. I feed peas and corn. But that's just, there's so many different people with so many different opinions. Let's find something that you like. You don't like what I have, I'll find you something you do like, and we can process it.
I like it all, so.
And if
I've had their, I've bought my beef from that girl right there and it was delicious.
you good.
It was not probably as low in cholesterol as grass fed, but it was delicious.
No, it's good. Yeah,
And I had an opportunity to read, the WSDA asked me to read grant applications for their small value added processor grants, and I could not believe how many there are. It is such a huge demand
Yeah.
for this kind of
Mhm.
small, not the cut and wrap, it's the next step, the USDA certified.
Mhm.
So, but I told them that they asked if you had any conflict of interest, so I said, I can't read Table Rock Meats, so I didn't read that one.
Yeah.
But they were very, there's, demand is just huge all over the place, so I think that if you can pull it off, I think
Yeah.
you'll do okay.
Well, I'd also like to invite everybody to come down to the butcher shop, and if nothing else, walk in the door and just smell. That's one of
Again,
that's one of the grossest things, that if you walk into a butcher shop and it smells bad, it is bad. Ours doesn't smell bad, and that was a big thing for me. I wanted to make sure that it, the animals are processed in a timely fashion. There is no butcher shop smell. You don't open it and just, give it to the dogs. We have an app on our phone that tells us what every single freezer's temperature is, all 24/7. It's always on there. We have alarms that go off if it comes up by 5 degrees. So, process it within 10 to 14 days, freeze it solid, keep it frozen.
Mhm. Well, I thank you for coming in and talking to us.
Yes.
I also applaud you on your efforts in taking this venture on. I also commend you on your success. I'm
Thank
really
you.
impressed with what you guys have done so far. Having had some animals processed through you guys, I am overly impressed with your service and the quality of work that comes out of your shop.
Thank you.
So I really look forward to seeing your growth, and I really want you to know that anything that we can do to help you along through this process, we want to do this as expeditiously and as efficiently as possible for you.
I appreciate that.
So don't hesitate to reach out to us and let us know how that we can help this process along for you.
Thank you.
Well, I've been as helpful as I can.
Yes, absolutely. Big help. Also, in the new facility, we're gonna make it to where we can process buffalo for veal. See,
Really enjoyed reading your business plan today. Thank you for getting that
Yes.
information to us.
Yes.
That was very impressive as well. So
thank you.
I look forward to our future.
I am looking forward to the slaughterhouse.
Yes.
Yes.
We
So-
would really hope that we could get something put in place before winter hits,
Soon,
because it can just be taken indoors, and it's hard on the guys to be outside in such a cold,
Mhm.
and work.
Yeah.
So it's better working conditions for the employees to be able to take it inside.
Mhm.
So it's safer, it's easier, there's just a lot of things that you just take away from the danger of it.
Mhm.
Let them get inside, so the sooner the better for us. And I know that we can get it, well, depending on how long the process takes, we can get it to where we can actually utilize it before it starts freezing. It won't necessarily be up to USDA standards by then, but it will be to where it can be a safer environment for the employees.
Right.
Which is a big deal for us.
Excellent.
Again, thank you, Michelle.
Yes.
So I was taking a look at your profit and loss statements. So how many months were you operating in 2021? half the year? I mean, just ballpark.
Oh, well, we had just purchased it, so we purchased it, right at the beginning of 2021. I was trying to think of what
Right.
year we're in. But when we purchased it, it was a wreck. We had a minimum of 4 months of cleaning. I would say more like 6. And then we had a bad name that we had to come out of. So we had to work really hard to get people to trust us and bring us their animals. So for me, I had 15 head waiting to be processed because I couldn't find anybody to butcher them. Sure. So really we didn't really start until, I bet fair. Fair was our first real, I mean, we
So probably a fourth the year.
hit and miss, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So not very long,
Okay, I was just
yeah.
trying to, judge your numbers here and how well you had done in 2021 compared to 2022. So taking a look at what you're estimating for 2023, you're thinking twice the amount that you're going to be butchering twice the amount?
Yes,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
How are you getting I saw your radius. Have you already put feelers out?
Oh, yeah. Yes,
And you're
And-
confident that you would be able to get those animals
for sure, yeah.
that you're estimating here?
We've got people waiting. They're
Fantastic.
waiting for the,
That's great.
yeah.
Well, and they applied for the grant I helped them with was a really big USDA
Yes.
grant, and they had to do a feasibility study.
Yeah.
So they had to literally reach out.
Mhm.
We met weekly for a couple of months to try to pull all the information together. So
Mhm.
even though the grant they got now was a different one.
Yeah.
They had great information that they had to do. They had to hire, I mean, there was an economist, they had to hire an economist to help.
So a little bit of background for the USDA facilities around here. There's one in Mesa that just shut down. They went private. There's so many people that want to raise their own herd
Right.
and process USDA and leave it private. So they're buying up these USDA plants and just processing their own.
Mhm.
And they don't, so we can no longer go there to have USDA
I see.
meat. So any meat that I sell, I have to haul off because we're not USDA yet.
Right, right.
So I go to Odessa, which is, that's a ways to travel. I have a bunch of friends in the Hermiston area. They travel to Odessa to go get their meat processed. And they're like, please let us know as soon as you're, we'll be right there. And everybody that I knew that went to Mesa, McCary's meats,
Mhm.
they are sitting here waiting. Because where do you go? Now, where do you go? These people that you say, we can sell you our beef because it's USDA processed, they can't say that anymore. There's not a place.
Right.
So,
So that was just my question.
Yeah.
Whether you've already done the marketing issue, because without, having
Oh,
a
yeah.
foresight with marketing. Business
Yeah.
can go south, but you've already done.
yeah, because I have been in the business of selling beef for so long
Sure.
and it's, what do you do and what obstacles can you go over? And
Mhm.
the hurdles and the McCary shutting down was a huge one. It was just like, okay, now what do you do? Where do you go to get your beef processed? Limit Bid is, they've had, one of their investors is, I want to say 4C Ranch out of that area, and half of their business is just with them, and so they sell their own meat. So again, you're into that avenue, but they're full.
Mhm.
They're completely full. You can't get in there until March.
What happened to McCary's?
They sold to private.
I sold.
Seattle company came and bought it and they processed their own beef and they don't allow anybody else. Mhm. So, yeah, and there was a lot of people that went there. A lot of people that I knew that went there.
Lots.
just to-
Everybody I know went there, yeah,
To get their beef
Mhm.
USDA so that they could sell to the public.
yeah.
And so, and then the other thing, once we're USDA, between Dayton, Waitsburg, Walla Walla, I've got so many restaurants that want our beef. And so then it's the feedlot. And I've got a lot of people saying, are you worried that you're gonna be in competition? Absolutely not. You bring clean beef. It's fresh. What we sell is fresh. It's been processed nicely. And so we have a market already that I can't keep up with. And so, yeah,
All right, thank you again.
Yeah.
A great executive summary here. So thank you for
Yeah.
coming up.
yeah.
So do you want me to supply written approval of their plan then?
because that's the first step, and then we move to the next step.
Do you need a
So tell me
motion?
what you need to do, what you want me to do. I think it'd probably be a good idea if that's what you want, yeah. Since it's an RCW.
Okay. Can I have a motion then for Jenny to proceed on this proposal?
I move that Jenny proceed with the written approval for this proposal.
Absolutely, a second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming, Michelle.
Okay, so I'll get in touch with you later.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
All right, so the last item on the agenda is executive session to review the performance of the manager of the what? Sleep in. How much time do you feel we would need?
So about that, back on September 21st, I emailed Jenny and asked for some documents and some information. She said that she would get them to me at a later date. Having not received the requested documents until Monday and not having the time that I requested to be able to review them. I'm assuming that either of you got them before Monday evening either.
I got 'em Monday.
Plus there was additional documents that were not included in that I requested that she sent to us yesterday. So
You're wanting some additional time.
this is a pretty significant thing that we gotta take care of, and I wanna make sure that we get the attention that is required and don't rush into this. So I would like us to go ahead and put this off until our special meeting as well, and give us all a little bit.
Or the next, because we're starting late at 6:30 on the next meeting, so.
Well, the issue is that this is supposed to be completed by the 31st of October.
Right.
In previous years, they've done it in August, which would have been nice this year to give us a little bit of leeway, but we're kind of cutting it close with,
The 29th.
So that's the annual review is November to November. Or October. to
You know
October.
what, it used to be that they did it in like November, and then Earl asked that we do it in July so they could prepare for budget, and then the next time it was in October. It's been
So it's really pushed
it's been commissioner driven, the timing, not me driven.
Okay.
So that's fine, but I do want to address your statements that I didn't send you something. Okay, first of all, I don't work for one commissioner. I work for a board. If you ask me for something, I'm gonna send it to everybody.
That's fine.
Because and there was no indication in your email that you wanted it then.
Well.
So that was, I mean, I apologize. I mean, I didn't,
This isn't a reprimand, so to speak.
know it sounded like it.
Well, I'm sorry that you feel that way, but I'll be more clear if I ever do. This is just more of a request that, you know, when documents are requested, and especially when we're having so much to go through in a meeting, it would really be nice to have some information sooner than later. I know you two probably have a lot busier schedules than I do, and I was hard pressed to be able to get halfway through a lot of this stuff this time.
I was wondering, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, so that's okay. I just wonder if we maybe couldn't start getting our packets possibly a week in advance instead of 2 days in advance or.
Not with the finances. We don't have the bills.
Hmm,
How
So
about,
then it would be separate. They'd be
right,
separate packets.
yeah.
And the other thing is that I didn't get Michelle's information. I mean, I asked.
No, I
didn't
know
get
about
it.
that.
Yeah.
I get that, and you know, that kind of took.
I
some of my
could
time
have
today
sent
that I
you
wanted to
the-
stay on that.
I probably could have sent you the public works contract earlier,
Mhm.
and,
since
I'm trying to see what I can. I said, the finances are what make it
The
so,
finances is, it's
it's
fine, that
so
doesn't
hard.
take a lot of time to go through and look at. But the
Let's
bigger
see.
documents, when we have, you know, these larger, you know, $1 million
Comp-
decisions to make, it
yeah.
just have a little bit of time to go over the. information.
comp plan, I didn't get till Friday, but that was the due date.
Yeah.
You know, because I made it the due date before the meeting. So really, yeah, maybe the Public Works Board, is probably the only thing I could have gotten out to you sooner.
I'm just requesting that whenever possible, we get information sooner. What you can get to us is
Okay,
helpful
okay.
to,
So you don't mind getting it separately?
I do not mind that at all.
Okay, because in the
Yeah.
past, they didn't want it separately. Okay.
Because I was asked the same thing, because it would help me, you know, with working, you know, when I get it on Monday. And I really do try to do my due diligence and try to understand. And sometimes it takes a minute, because it's not my world necessarily every day, so I'm
Right.
trying to understand it.
Sure.
And I was thinking, even if I had it on the Friday before
Right.
I
the
would
meeting,
agree.
so that would allow the weekend and stuff for me personally.
Right.
I will try to do my best. I just don't always have everything, but I can
Yeah.
try to do my best. That's
But
fine.
especially if there's big stuff.
I would be happy to do it sooner, then I'm not so crunched.
Right.
Right.
So tell me your other, what you said about, that there were things you asked for that you didn't get.
There was like.
You said you were things you asked for in one email that I never sent.
No, I just, when in the email, I'd asked for any additional documents pertaining to your employment. So the other documents would have been the WPPA, survey and your, employment or not contract, but the,
Oh,
job
that,
description.
yeah, oh, yeah.
Those
yeah.
are the only other things, and then you added that.
I did
additional
add them, yeah,
document.
but I did send them to you.
Yes, you did,
Yes, okay.
yeah, no, I'm not saying you didn't send it, you
Okay.
didn't get it till.
And I haven't had a chance to review any of it.
Yeah, I did all
So-
day.
Well, the job description is from 2007. It's the best they had.
Right.
Which is fine,
What do
you
you
know,
think?
the commissioners.
The commissioners at that time.
Oh, that was the question I had when I saw the 2007,
Yeah.
when I scrolled through there, but I didn't have a chance to really
Yeah.
read it, but.
Yeah.
2007, I'm like,
Yeah.
holy cow, we need a PDP update
Right, well,
on the position description.
Well, but if you, yeah, that's fine, that's fine, but if you look at it, it's pretty general.
right,
And then, but it's that, it's things like, you know, because I am supposed to be the professional here who carries out you're supposed to set the goals, and I carry out the work.
Yeah.
So if it says maximize, you know, port assets, you know, that's what I'm doing, and then you come up with all these little, so it's hard to say, this is I mean, the job description is. You can make it more detailed if you want, but it's really, that one is, it's not perfect. It would have been great.
Mhm.
Imagine my surprise when I got here and some of the stuff I was dealing with, because they didn't list the assets, you know, they didn't say. You will be running a state park, you know, but still, it's general enough that it's not inaccurate.
I didn't
It's
see
just
any- I
not,
didn't
yeah, it's
see
not
any
inaccurate.
major
No,
issues.
And then the delegation of authority was something that this port never had, but the WPPA suggested it as a way of formalizing things like if it's over $50,000, you take it to the commission,
Mhm.
not, and I tend to err on the side of caution with that, rather than, I tend to bring you stuff even if it's 25,000, but, you know, just kind of memorializing those things,
Mhm.
things like the leases. I mean, a lot of port districts don't even bring the leases to their commissioners for signature.
Mhm.
So you don't have to continue that. You know, they have their staff do it.
Mhm.
But in ours, I left it, that you sign them. I think it's good for you to, you know who's coming and going, and we discuss prices and all that stuff. So anyway, that's like a working document. The delegation of authority is more like a working document.
Right,
And it looks to me like it should have been updated last year, and
That's what I-
I
that's what I was
neglected, yeah, I
expecting.
neglected to put it in the policy
Mhm.
list, and I'm not sure why. I don't know why, that was an oversight, or actually, it might have, maybe even should have been. No, it was last year, I think, so that's probably my fault, but it's a working document,
Mhm.
so if you wanted to. Get more detailed about who authorizes what, that would be the document you did it in, sure,
Right.
yeah, and.
And even if it was right where we want it, reviewed, approved, new date,
Right.
you know.
Exactly.
I mean, those
Every
things,
year, because then, that's why I make you do policies every year, because then we're fresh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
yeah.
But
So
then
that's,
we're, yeah,
it could be that, I don't know,
Yeah.
because I haven't even
Right.
had a chance to put my.
so is there any objection
But-
to waiting till next month to do the evaluation then, by anybody?
or
We
do you
should
mean,
get that.
29.
well, I think the contract might have said a date, see, that's a new thing, I don't remember what the date, did it set a date?
I think the contract said it's supposed to be done by the 31st.
Okay, well,
Your
Yeah.
contract.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that every year, right?
it's a contract that expires next January.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it has to be
The
done.
contract renewal was not, and the same with the delegation of authority. For me sending that to you, I didn't mean that you have to approve it.
No,
We can do that in January. I just wanted you to have it.
Okay.
So when you do the evaluation, really what you need to do is go home, read the thing that was attached in the thing. It's not complicated, jot down your thoughts and then get together and discuss.
Right.
And you do not share it with anyone outside of the port.
No.
You do not, any of those documents, okay?
So once again, this has to be done by January 31st.
Is that what it says?
I mean, if this is the effective date, since this goes from beginning October 13th and ending January 31,
That's
2020.
2024.
Right,
Yeah,
right. So is January 31st your anniversary date, so to speak?
I have no idea. I'm not even sure why they put that date in there because they did the contract in October.
Right, yeah.
I
have
don't know.
No idea.
I don't know. What is it? But I thought it said a date in here for evaluation. Yep, no later than October 31st, 2021 of each year. Well, that's a little bit of a weird sentence.
2021 of each year.
2021 of each year.
First
We're gonna miss that one.
of
Yeah.
each year. Okay, so are we okay with
I'm
doing
gonna
it
take care of
on
this on the
the
26th.
October 29th meeting?
26.
26th.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, okay, very good. All right, also, in regards to future meetings, when would you like to have them? Would Friday before the Wednesday meeting be sufficient time, or do you want the meeting?
You mean packets?
The packets,
Oh, you said meeting, okay.
before the meetings?
Yeah, Friday would be.
Yeah, if you stretch it
Very
too far
helpful.
back, then it puts her in a jam and it's, as close as we can to it, but with those extra couple days, especially on the weekend, it was very, very helpful.
Yeah,
to me on Friday.
And just so you guys know, it's not normal to have this much stuff in one.
No, I know.
Right, this was so
You
hard.
keep saying that all damn year.
Well, this last one, it wasn't hard.
We would leave by 6 o'clock.
I keep hearing this.
You missed
And I'm
it.
like, I don't know about that, but hey, okay.
Okay,
Well, and the broadband stuff is just big.
Just a lot of
so
stuff.
it is, yeah.
so if we could request the packets by
You
the
bet, Friday,
Friday before the
I like
Wednesday
it,
meeting.
yeah, you
And
bet.
if you didn't have the budget and they went out Monday, that's fine.
Yes, I probably won't send you, if it's okay with you, I won't send you the financial stuff till like Tuesday, because sometimes we struggle to have all the bills by the time, yeah, this.
Columbia, the
yeah, it's-
holiday.
Especially, the Columbus Day screwed us up, we had to go online and get the credit card bill, and so if it's okay for Tuesday, then that gives us a little extra time.
Sure,
Is that okay?
that's fine. We don't
Okay,
need it.
good.
All right, that-
Yeah.
I like that way better, I think
Okay,
that's a
so
great
there's
idea.
no who's ever on Zoom,
Oh,
there is no executive session.
oh, I think they're all gone.
You're like enough.
There's 4 people on, 5 people.
Oh,
on.
okay, sorry, I lied, okay.
Okay, so then I think that is it. Is there anything else for the good of the meeting?
I do have one thing, 2 things. I wanted the record. I do want the tablets coming. They
Okay.
already agreed to that.
Yeah, I do
We
too.
voted on that, so we need to get those. So whatever that takes.
I'm just gonna have to spend, but we've got money, so I'm just gonna have to spend more money.
So whatever that takes. The ones that work would be preferable.
That would be good.
That would be great. I'd like to get those. And then the last meeting I was in, I requested the flag over at the border.
Oh.
It's standing right outside
I
the
didn't
door.
know you said where it had to be.
Okay, hang on,
It's here, but
hang on.
I had a different commissioner tell me to put it in the lobby.
So I like the flag in the main lobby because as people walk in, they see it. Not everybody walks in to the meeting room. And again, this is not my office. This is Jenny's office. She can decorate it and, put however she wants.
I think we're a government agency and we have a flag. I would like to start our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
That's absolutely a viable recommendation that we do that. And then we would have to have it because we can't go to the hallway. But that's something that I'd like to see myself on that.
So once again, this is Jenny's office and I don't feel
Yeah, but
that, I mean,
Keep
I kind
writing.
of like it out there.
Well,
And so Jenny can decide where she would like to have it.
so we've got 2 commissioners that say we want it in here. and
So is
we
it the
originally
call?
said-
Is it the motion that we need?
So if it needs to be, then yes.
Really?
I think it should be a discussion, like I said.
He asked for a flag in our meeting room.
He
Was-
said
was his
a
original
flag, I don't
request.
recall.
Actually, I did point over in the corner. I said, move that plant, put the flag over there. But,
Yeah.
it's gone.
yes, plant is on. You do have the flag. We're
looks really good out there, you guys.
there. Well, it could be there and then
That's
bring it
fine.
in.
You can bring it in your meeting. It's for
Oh.
I personally don't feel that we need to say the Pledge of Allegiance prior to every meeting. It's not a pro.
I make a motion that we start every meeting from here on with the Pledge of Allegiance, since we have a flag.
I second that motion.
We have a motion. And we have a second. I want some discussion on this.
Go ahead, it's open for discussion.
Yeah, once again, I believe the flag is just perfectly fine out there. What you're saying is bringing it in. I personally don't feel that the Pledge of Allegiance is needed prior to this. If it was an established protocol for the ports, do you know, Jenny, whether any other? The WPPA says that it needs to be begun with Pledge of Allegiance.
The WPPA meetings do not start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I don't know about other ports. I really don't.
Yeah.
I'd have to ask.
Well,
maybe we'll start a trend.
Your feelings?
You could start a trend, yes, indeed. I guess, starting any meeting these days with the Pledge of Allegiance, to me, implies a litmus test of patriotism. And I believe, as patriotic as anyone else that's living in the United States, anyone that's living in Dayton, anybody who's living in Washington. I don't feel it's necessary for me to pledge every time that I see the flag at a meeting, unless it is protocol. Once again, Kiwanis has their protocol, because Fred is Kiwani. They say the Pledge of Allegiance because it is protocol. I don't see that it's protocol here, and I don't feel that it's necessary.
Okay. Well, I'll take that under thought. Appreciate your concerns about that. However, I feel that it is necessary, and you're welcome to either participate in the Pledge of Allegiance or remain seated. That choice is yours, but I believe, as a government agency and representing this community, that it would be appropriate, and if it's not protocol, it'll be our protocol. So I think that I think we should do it.
Agreed.
Yeah, so
Okay,
I guess we take a vote, huh?
we have a motion and a second on the floor to say the Pledge of Allegiance prior to every meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
And we are gonna need a flag for that, so,
Yeah.
but I appreciate you getting it.
Well, we,
And I like it out there. I think it's pretty out there.
I don't know,
We'll need it
Will,
in
just
here.
tell me where you want it.
We'll need it in here for the meetings.
Okay.
Yeah, and we may leave it in here because I don't know, it's dragging it back and forth all the time. It's. Well, I guess that's up to us
Okay,
now.
so we have 6:58 meeting adjourned.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, you need these, right?
Yes, please. If you want to get paid.
Oh, well.
I'll rearrange the room tomorrow.
Thank you. And thanks for doing that.
You're welcome. Hope let me know if you're welcome. Let me know if you don't get into your email, Johnny.
I did, I got.
Oh, you already did. Okay, good. So it worked. Okay.
Oh, no, I didn't. I'm talking about, I got into my personal email, so thank you for sending that to me today, and I got into that, was trying to speed read on a screen that I can't read.
Right.
I'm like, holy cow. But I will